Well, good day, everybody. This is Brandon, Little NC Farmer, coming to you again with a something different time. This will be the first something different time of September of 2021. Today is actually September the 1st. It is hard to believe that September is here. And just counting this month, 4 months left in this year, and it's over. And so, I mean, and it's been a different year, ups and downs, ins and outs. But anyway, it's been a year. But anyhow, we coming to you again today, and uh, it's been hot. I mean, guys, it has literally been hot. The month, of course, August is hot. I mean, it's hot and humid. That's the way it's supposed to be. And so it is what it is there. But our garden's pretty much done. I showed a video earlier this week uh, regarding to that. We do want to try to do us some fall crops, maybe some mustard greens, broccoli, collards, cabbage, whatnot. I always like to do that in the fall of the year. But there's one thing I failed to mention. I don't know if I've already mentioned this or not, but I did some vegetable soup back before I got sick. And I think we got about 11 quarts, if I remember right. I don't remember if I've said anything about that or not. But just did that with a lot of the stuff. And I know I've had one guy that's commented about the Mountain Pride tomatoes, and I want to say something about those guys. If you ever can get the seed or get the plants, I urge you to try them. Those were my best producing tomatoes. I had the best results with tomatoes this year that I believe I ever have since I've been gardening, which is most of my life. And there's one thing that I did, and I don't know, I may show you next year, I don't know. But there is something that I did I've never done before. A person told me to try this little trick. I tried it. Evidently it worked. Something worked anyway. Tomatoes don't require a lot of nitrogen, but tomatoes do require a lot of calcium, a lot of phosphorus. That's where they really get their flavor, is from the phosphorus, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the right one. But, and just a few little tricks like that, I think helped with the tomatoes. But overall, I mean, guys, I probably canned as most as I ever have this year. And of course, that's good because we use them to make soup and whatnot. Seafood gumbo, I make that occasionally, and I'll use tomatoes in that. And then, of course, our okra, we use it in the gumbo as well. But I've canned a lot of the okra up for frying. And I mentioned this the other day. I used the Old Alabama Gardener's recipe. He's here on YouTube, and I misspelled his title the other day on that last video. I just caught it when I was watching it yesterday, I believe, and I misspelt the word gardener. I left the N out. So if anybody catches that, I'm sorry about that. But if you do check his channel out, he's got a video on there where he shows how to can okra for frying. I'm not going to do a video on it because, I mean, that's, there's several different videos out there on that, and pretty much all of them are the same. But it really works well. The okra has a little different taste to it because you do use some vinegar in it, but I really did not notice the vinegar taste. Maybe a subtle twang to it, but not that tremendously strong. But what that actually does, it actually works as a pickling type so that the cucumber will retain its texture so that it don't turn soft. And so I like it. I mean, if you've never tried it, I urge you to try it. At least try a couple of jars to see how you would like it. But we like that here. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at there. I'm well pleased with what I've got to put up, and most of it came from right here. Uh, you know, I didn't go outside getting a lot of stuff. I'm amazed at what this little garden right here, if you take care of it, will produce. It's just like those beans right there on the porch. I got to pick those yet. I may do that today, I don't know. But I'd be surprised, you would be surprised with what harvest I get off of those in just a small containers like that. I mean, people would be amazed, and people think, well, if they can't have about a 2-acre field to plant, that they can't do nothing. Well, my thing is with that, a lot of that goes to waste because you're not able, if you're just by yourself, you're not able to tend it properly, and it goes into what it is. But I just don't want more than I'm capable of taking care of myself, because I hate to see stuff just go to waste. And so, but anyway, I've got to get on into my topic today. But we do want to continue to remember the folks in prayer that's suffered due to the Hurricane Ida, and do keep those people in your prayers. And also remember the folks that's battling this virus, that's going around. Guys, it's a tough thing, I'm telling you. And one thing I failed to mention, we had a couple in our church, very nice folks, man and his wife. Both of them passed away the same day. I think he passed away first, and it was an hour or two sometime later she passed away in the same day. And they had the funeral just the other weekend, been about almost 2 weeks ago now. This happened all while I was sick, and I didn't really get a chance to say a lot about it. But and so guys, keep folks that's battling that, keep them in your prayers as well, because I don't think we've even scratched the surface to what we're probably going to see in the future on that. So just leave that as it is. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit kind of on the lines of life anyway. The simplicity of life. What happened to the simplicity of life? And I began to think about some things. I've been thinking on this all weekend, really. The thought, and a lot of us, I know that's if you're 50 years old or older, you can go back to what we call a simpler time. And I can go back to the 70s in my memory. I can remember the 70s pretty clear. I was just a toddler. I was born in 72, and but I can remember Walter Cronkite telling the news, and he just told what needed to be said, and then at the end he said, and that's the way it is. And we don't have that now. It's more about propaganda and getting their opinion or their view, way to look at it. They want to push their views on to everybody, to persuade you how to think. And but I didn't come on here to get off on that today. I could, but I didn't really want to. But I do remember that, and I remember, if my memory serves me right, he was on CBS. I know that for a fact, but it seems to me like along in that time, Harry Reasoner and Howard K. Smith was on the ABC network. And then I remember a little later on, I think Frank Reynolds came on the scene, and then he passed away, and I think Peter Jennings took it over not long after that. But it was just a simpler time, and I don't know why I got off on that. But, you know, things were so much different back then. And to a lot of you folks that's a lot older than I am, I'm sure you can even remember further on back, being that we're talking about journalists right now, Edward R. Murrow, who was from here in this state. Matter of fact, the home place he grew up is not too awful far from here. And I think they even have a little plaque signifying, showing that he grew up in the area. But you know, you think back to simpler days, and one thing I thought about that's complicated our lives probably more than anything, and I hate to say it, but is this little item right here. This and laptops and computers and all that other, but it's complicated it because we've got to come up with extra funds to be able to purchase this and be able to buy a plan that we can, you know, use. And so there again, that's an expense. And you got to work harder. You got to come up with more money to pay for this. I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for the door of YouTube. I'm thankful that we have that access, because like it was in the old day, you had an old rotary phone if you were blessed, and if you didn't have that, then all you had was a pencil and a piece of paper, and you hoped you could scrounge up enough money to buy a stamp or two and put a letter in the mail. Then you had to wait about a week before you got a response back. And so, I mean, you know, a lot of this stuff that we look at as a convenience, in turn has brought a lot more complication to our lives. But I think back to just simpler days, just simpler times. My mom and daddy, well, when we were small as children, my mother stayed at home with us a lot of the time, and then later on she took a second shift job, and she would work second shift. My dad worked the first shift, and I remember we had neighbors that would come over and stay with us when Mama left to go to work, and she would stay with us till my dad came home, and then, you know, he would be there with us through the evening. And then Mom would get home around, you know, a little after 11 or something, whenever her shift was over. It's either 11 or 12, I'm not sure, can't remember exactly which one it was. And then it seemed like maybe she may have worked a mini shift at one time. I can't really remember for sure on that, but it seems like it could have been. But, you know, that was just simpler days. And people nowadays, I mean, we're running to and fro. We don't have time to sit down anymore. And guys, what you seeing me do right now, I've not been home too awful long. I come in, I fix me just a little something to eat. I don't need a big amount, but I want just a little something. And then I sit here, I've got a cup of coffee. I may glance through the news on my phone, try to, you know, look at anything that I need to look at. I've got some YouTube channels that I watch. You know, like today, this specific day, I have a certain one that I'll look at, and you know, that's kind of like my routine. But people do not know how to just sit down and be still anymore. They've got to hear a racket going. I don't want a racket going. If I'm not interested in looking at something on the TV, I don't turn it on, because I don't want it just going just to have a noise going. It costs too much anyway. And if it ain't that, they got to have the radio blaring, and I mean, it's just a noise all the time. And I'm just not that way. I like it quiet. I like it peaceful. Some people may not be this way, and if you're not, that's fine. I understand. But another thing, I just don't want a lot of drama brought into my life. That's one thing I will not tolerate around here, is a lot of drama. And I like to keep it, at bay as best I can. And, for the most part, I try to live a peaceful life, not bother nobody, and don't want nobody bothering me. And so it is what it is there. But in thinking about that, you hear the term a lot of times about just a simple person. And that's what I would like to be remembered as, is just a simple person. To where it don't take much to make me happy or to be pleased. Just the simple things in life. That's the way I would want to be remembered. I can think of people in my life. I was thinking of one, and there's a gentleman, when I was growing up, he was a song leader in our church. And matter of fact, if you go back and look at some of my very first videos that I put on here, him and his wife and his sister sang in a trio, and you will hear there's some music put out by him. But he was just a simple person, and I always admired him growing up. And one thing I can remember, and like I say, he was a song leader and in our church, and I can remember him and his wife and his sister, they would, like I say, they would sing together in a trio. And I would watch him sing, and God start blessing him. And the tears, you'd just see the tears streaming down. And those kind of people are almost all but off the scene now. What they had was real. And they knew how to enjoy life. And it wasn't by taking a trip every other week or every other day or whenever, or spending a big amount of money on this or doing that. They just loved life. I mean, you think about a man like Enoch in the Bible. Enoch walked with God. That's pretty much all we know based on Scripture. Enoch walked with God. I think whenever, I believe he had a child born, might have been Methuselah. I'm not sure on that. I don't have my Bible here handy. You Bible scholars can probably correct me on that. But I do remember once that child was born, the Bible says that Enoch walked with God. And then the next thing you know, Enoch was not, because God took him. God took him home. And he walked on home with the Lord. I remember Mays Jackson years ago, he said that the Russians put a man into outer space, they called him a cosmonaut. Americans put a man in outer space, they called him an astronaut. Well, long before either one of them ever did that, God put one in outer space and brought him home to be with him, and he called him a was not. And so I've never forgot that over the years. But he was just, according to the Bible, I mean, what little we know, he was just a simple man. And what happened to those kind of people? Just simple people. They walked with God. They loved the Lord. They worked hard. They weren't lazy. They were just simple people, and they minded their own business. They provided for themselves, and looked after their own well-being. They tried to help one another as best they could, and yet they were just simple folk. And I guess that's one reason I've got so addicted to certain YouTube channels. I won't call any names, but I watch several different people, and I've got to where I do not comment as much as I used to. I do some, but for one reason, I don't want everybody knowing where I'm going. But I watch several people because they remind me of folks in my past that were just simple people. They were just simple. They didn't have a lot of complication to their life. And I'm afraid we have got a lot of unnecessary complications, time robbers, whatever it may be in our lives now. And, there's some people, they're addicted to their TV set. They sit and look at that thing almost 24/7. And God help, if that would be the only thing I had to do, I would get rid of that thing. Because, that thing right there, especially if you're watching the over-the-air networks, is probably one of the most lying, deceiving pieces of propaganda that's ever been. Because I don't even look at mine no more. I don't turn my news on no more. I don't turn none of it on. I don't need it. I can learn more. Number one, you can learn a whole lot just reading your Bible. Because this is up to date as anything is. And yea, let God be true and every man a liar. And you can watch what's going on with current events and things like that. You need to know, I'm not saying that you don't need to be aware of what's going on. It's just like what happened here the other week. I mean, guys, that is there's no excuse for that. None whatsoever. And the one responsible should be removed from office. Just simple as that. If it had been the other way around, I promise you that's the way it would be. I didn't mean to get off on that, but it is what it is. But, I mean, you can look at this, you can be aware of everything, just like the storm that's sweeping through, the consequences of that, and the things that are happening. I just heard last night on some stuff. I mean, it's just unreal. And, but knowing all that's going on, and then knowing what thus saith God, especially regarding this day and age that we're living in right now. And that's why people don't have no hope no more. Because they're focused on what's sitting on that one-eyed monster in their living room or on the phone or whatever. And they don't know what God says. Well, my hope's not in that one-eyed monster or anything I gain through that. My hope's in what's in that blessed old book. And what's written, what thus saith God Almighty. And that's why so many people today are confused. They have no hope. They have no joy about them whatsoever. Because, well, the Apostle Paul, I've mentioned this before. He said on one occasion, if in this life only we have hope, we are of all men most miserable. My hope's not in this life. Believe you me, it is not. Because the older I get and the closer home I get, the less appealing anything in this life is. I mean, I'm just sitting here looking. these beautiful flowers and stuff that we had back in the spring and the better part of the summer, now they're stressed. They're really they need to come out because they're looking rough and ragged from just being through the heat that they've been through. And you know, that's what we've got to look forward to in this life, guys. Everything in this life is temporary, because it's not meant to last forever. It goes through a season. We're fixing to head into the fall season. You'll see the leaves change colors and fall and drop off. And I'm not so sure, but what the world, the life as we know it, is fixing to head into the fall season. In other words, it's just about over. And my thing is, are you ready? Are you ready to meet him? If I wasn't ready, I would be getting ready. Because, guys, this thing's drawing to a close swiftly. And so anyway, guys, I know I've been a little bit scattered today, but a simple life. A simple life. And let's try to simplify our lives as best we can. Cut out a lot of the nonsense that you don't need. Cut out a lot of the waste that you do not need. And I think you'll enjoy that. I don't have to be in my vehicle burning the roads up 24/7. Matter of fact, I'm just a person, I like to be at home. This is my place here. I like to be here. I don't like to be running off traveling all the time. I don't go here and there, and nothing against taking a vacation or, going off somewhere. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm just saying I know people that has to do it about every 2 weeks. I mean, God help. If I hated home that bad, I'd sell out and move somewhere I did like, because I just don't like traveling that much. But anyway, keep our lives simple. And I think in the long run, it'll pay off. So guys, that's kind of my talk today. Just a simple life. There's a lot of things I wanted to mention and bring up, but I didn't really get to. But before I leave, I want to say this. I remember the simple days of just a Sunday afternoon at my grandmother's. And we would make homemade ice cream or cut a watermelon. And I've showed videos down there. We would all sit around outside and talk, and the youngins would play, and it's just simple times. People don't have time to do that now, and that's a shame. I pity people that's never had that, to go to grandma's and grandpa's on Sunday and have Sunday dinner, and then go out and play with your cousins and get together and just have a good afternoon of fun. I pity people that never had that. So, but anyway, guys, I got to get off of here. I got things I got to do. And try to get some things caught up and done around here. And so, anyway, guys, I hope y'all have a great day. And I hope you learn to simplify your life just a little bit. Make it just a little simpler. I didn't say it'd be easy, but just make it simpler. So guys, y'all have a great day. Thank you for watching. Appreciate all my subscribers. And until the next time, thank you from Little NC Farmer.